Hello guys, Fancy here and welcome in this tutorial where I will show you how to create box in VR or just a meal combat, and we will try it on this beautiful lady. So let me show you how it will look like. What you can simply do is to punch her in the face with any hand you just want, or if it is not enough you can also punch her in the groin. Alright, so first of all you need to actually get someone you can punch, like brother, sister, girlfriend, boyfriend, but let's be real, you are a game developer so you are probably alone. And you will die alone. But because of that, there is friend of all the indie developers, and that's Mixamo, and that's where we will get our animations and characters. You will have a link in the description, and here is just a Mixamo from Adobe. You know what it is about. Just log in or register if you haven't yet. You can use your Adobe account. If you want, you can upload your own character, upload it here, and find it on Sketchfab or wherever you want. I don't really want to spend the time with that, so let's click left here on characters, and find here someone who looks punchable. You know what, we are in 21st century, so it's absolutely alright to punch a girl, right? Do I understand it correctly, right? Is it okay? Okay, I will use it. Let's go with animations. Animations, and we need to find some kind of animations that we will use. So first of all, let's right here box, and let's use some casual movement that will be there just when this person will stand. So let's go with okay, this one is kind of weird. Let's try something idle on the place. You don't really want movements where your character is moving, such as this one. That's not good. So let's do this one, idle, and you can download it. And we will need a bit more of them. For example, we will create two different attacks. Once you will punch her in the groin, and once you will punch her in the face. So for that we will have to find reaction. So I just wrote here hit, and somewhere will be head hit. If you look at it, yeah, that will look pretty cool. So let's download that one as well. And the last one will be this kick in the groin as such a finisher or something like that. That doesn't look that well. So let's see if we have here some other kind of finisher. Let's put here actually big stomach hit. Look at that. And download it again. So now you should have free FBX files. Once it all will be downloaded, let's head back to Unreal Engine, and we will start by importing it all. So first of all, let's create a new folder and call it just a character. Make sure that you know where your files are, and first of all, what you can do is to import it all in Blender, put it together, and then import here. But you don't really need to worry about that. You can just import one file, make sure everything is set, enable import animations, and also enable right here use T0 as ref pose. And right now it will create new skeleton, and with next FBX files we will just import it to same kind of skeleton. That's important. Alright, so now we have imported first model, and we can do it with other ones. Now we can select both of these files and put it on the same folder. Just make sure that you don't import mesh. Right now you want just import animations. So let's import all. Okay, now it should be all fine. So let's just delete these T-poses, because with each of these meshes it imported T-pose, which we don't want. You should have 3 of them. Let's delete it. And you can preview animations that we already have. That's a head hit, the stomach hit, etc, etc. And that's just casual get ready to fight pose. So now what we will do is to create character. Let's go into blueprint character, and call it just an enemy. And if you want, you can use this to move him around, let her follow you, etc, etc later on if you want. And let's click here on mesh, this skeletal mesh, and let's set it to idle. And we will need to move it a bit down and rotate it. Okay, let's not rotate it, it looks kind of stupid. And let's put her in the game. And you can see that we need to move her a little bit down because real physics collision happens here. Move her down just a bit. Doesn't look that better, but you can play with it later if you want. I'm a little bit afraid that she's way too high. Oh, it should be actually okay. We will see. So now what we need to do is to create animation blueprint. So let's go here in animations, animation blueprint, and use idle skeleton. Let's call it enemy. Come on. Enemy underscore anim pp. Not bb, pp. Open it, and right here let's create okay, let's take it from here, and we will create new state machine. Leave it like that and open it. Okay, right click again, and let's create here state, and that state should be idle. And what we will do is to simply go from entry to idle. Open idle and set it to idle. I'm pretty sure that you could have predicted that. Press the like button if you really did predict that. Okay, compile it and click back on our enemy, and let's set our animation blueprint here to that idle. Oh, we actually called it enemy anim BP. And she's moving. Congratulations, guys. Well, not right now, but if you let it simulate, she is somewhat moving. And what we want to do now is to add here other collisions. So let's start by adding first collision, which should be sphere collision, and make sure that it's under mesh. And if you go right here in socket, you want to attach it to specific socket. Socket is basically a bone that this character has in itself. So we will attach it to head. If you click on this thing, it will show you all of them, and I want to use head. And you can see that it's sort of weirdly following that bone. So what is best to do now is to go into, you know what, let's actually be a bit more smart and start by duplicating it. And first let's call collision call underscore head, and the other one should be call underscore stomach. And that stomach should be under, there should be something like stomach, right? No, okay, it's not. Then we will use hips. Hips will be great. Okay, but now you can see that it's moving, and those collisions are absolutely weirdly somewhere where we don't want them. So let's go into mesh, and somewhere here should be this animation, and we will pause animation. So now what you will do is to simply put that collision on place where you want it. This one should be on head. Let's adjust sphere radius. Put it here. That's fine. And this one should be basically in the stomach. Well, let's again adjust sphere and just put it somewhat here. Okay, that's a bit too big, but that's just so you know what is going on. Alright, click back on that mesh and disable pause animations. And you can see that collision nicely follows exactly what you want. So now what we will do with those collisions? That's the real question. Okay, we will go in collision head and set it to on component begin overlap. So first of all, let's create here a new variable. Variable should be boolean, and let's call it head height. And what we will simply do is to cast to motion controller component. No, what am I doing again? Cast to pp motion controller and set it as object or the actor. I'm sorry. Once this will be done, let's simply set this head height to true. Right? And one more thing is to, first of all, we need to figure out how long is the animation. Animation is called head height, and right here is written sequence length 1.433 seconds. It's actually a little bit shorter, but we can use it for now and then adjust it how we need. So we will put here delay, set it to 1.4, and then set head height again. Oh, sorry. Set head height again to false. And now we will go back to motion control animation BP. I will simply set it up and then explain how it all works. So with this event blueprint update animation here in AnimBP, I have gone to event graph. Let's cast to enemy and get object right from the and get object and try get pawn owner. Compile, and from here we will get a head hit and create a new variable. Let's call it head hit. Come on, head hit underscore anim, or just a BP, like animation blueprint, and we just need to set it here. All right, compile, and that's fine. So let's go back into new state machine, and what we will do here is to create new state and call it head hit. From here, connect to it idle and back from it idle as well. Let's go from head hit and connect it right here. By the way, if you are more interested in how to work with these animations, you can look at tutorial series about how to make a RPG for beginners. I will link it somewhere here, and I go there much more in deep with that. So compile, and now let's set up this transition. So if you want to go from idle to head hit, we will need to take head hit ABP, get it, and make sure that it's equal to true. Because if it will be equal to true, that means head hit will be equal to true, then it will transition from idle to head hit animation. And you can just copy it and go back to untrue, and when it will be untrue again, then it will transition back to idle. So really simply what will happen, once your fist will overlap with this collision, it will set head hit to true, wait for 1.4 seconds and set it untrue again. And in those 1.4 seconds, what will happen is head animation will be played because we set it up here, and then it will go back into idle. Let's see if it actually works how I told you. I hope it does. So if I punch here, you can see that it reacts to it. That collision is a little bit big, so it actually reacts sooner than I touch here. But you can just scale it down, etc, etc. But what you can see right now is that there is a quick drop before it will go back to that first animation. That means we have too long delay and few more things that we will need to fix. But we'll do it soon. Let's just punch here one more time. And one more thing I want to tell you about, I have done another tutorial on boxing if you want to create your own boxing bag minigame, where you will be punching objects like that. You can watch the tutorial as well if you haven't already. Link is in the description and somewhere here, of course, as well. So first of all, as I said, we need to shorten this delay. Let's set it to 1.2, and we can do actually one more thing before that, and that's here in enemy AnimBP. You can click on this transition and set duration of that blend a little bit higher, so it will be smoother, but you cannot overdo it. I would leave it on 0.2 from going in direction to head hit, but in direction back I would go with 0.5. You need to find your own best value, of course, depends on animations, etc, etc. You are pretty much done, you know how to do all that, but let's actually add one more thing, and that's hit in the groin, so you just know what's up if you hit someone to groin. The process is completely the same. You will take that collision, set it on event begin overlap, take it from here, punch it here, connect, add reactor, create new variable, call it groin hit, set it to true, and let's see, a big stomach hit, 1.4, let's go with 1.2 as well. I don't really trust their values. Connect. Oh, it's not like that value is not correct. It's just that by the end of that animation, there is still some things that need to be played, and you don't really want to see them in game. That's alright how it is done. All right, and let's quickly head back to enemy AnimBP. Event graph. Get hit. Groin hit. Create here quickly new animation, promote to variable if you want to do it quickly, and let's just call it groin hit underscore ABP. That ABP is really stupid, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, compile, and here in state machine, let's just create new state. Call it groin hit. I love how I'm all this time saying calling it groin, which actually stomach or something like that would be much more accurate, but not important. It's groin for now. So let's set it to groin hit, and put here animation big stomach hit. Connect it here, and we need to set it up in the same way as we did before. So let's take groin hit, set it to equal boolean to true. Wait back for a bit, copy, and on your way back, let's set it to untrue. Alright, that should be fine. There is one more bug that I actually won't be solving because it's not necessarily a bug, and that right now you don't actually need to put your hand in fist. Anytime you will overlap it with that. With motion controller, it will do this action. You can of course set a bunch of booleans for that, but I would actually recommend you to maybe change meshes to some boxing gloves or something like that. That's up to you, depends on game what you are making. Not important right now, let's go and punch her in stomach, because that's what we are here for. Okay, look at that, she's casually smiling, she's weirdly smiling, let's punch her. Okay, you can see that it kinda works cool. That collision on head is really way too big, so you would have to really make it much smaller. You can see that as I said, it reacts even to your hand like that. So let's try to punch her here, and it seems to work fine. Look at that. One more not so important thing is that I have a Patreon. So yeah, I know that was a bit of a catfish. Anyway, if you wanna support me in any way, it would help me a lot. And we have also a Discord channel where we talk about VR and all the regular stuff that game developers talk about, because they have no one else to talk to. And that's about it. Sarfancy out. Looking forward to our boxing game.